Hello, my name is LaDonna McKee, and I am going to in-service you on the fracture table. The fracture table is used for two kinds of fractures: an intertrochanteric fracture of the hip and a femoral neck fracture that is non-displaced. On the table before me are some of the parts that can be used on the table, and these are the ones that are most commonly used on a routine basis. The first one I'm going to show you is a perineal post. It sits between the legs, and the perineum is pressed up against it so that you can have traction on the affected hip. And we will go through how these are all attached to the bed. The next thing is just a standard side rail socket or a Clark socket. This is used to hold part of the equipment that goes on the bed. And again, we will go through each of these parts and put them on the bed. This is also an attachment that allows us to attach different parts that you see laying here to the bed. This particular attachment can only be used on the fracture table. It cannot be used on any other opposite bed. Next thing is a universal stirrup. This stirrup can be used on several different kinds of beds, but this one is particularly used for the fracture table, and this is what will cradle the non-operative leg during the procedure. This is a padded indentation, but we will also use a egg crate pad on this, and then securing it either with a towel over the extremity and tape, or I like to use a Kerlix roll and then tape that Kerlix roll. I also like to make sure that I cover that extremity with a warm blanket to keep it warm. Now this item is very heavy. Let me pick it up so you can see it. This is a boot, and you can see that this velcros around the foot, and we also use Coban to secure the foot into this ski boot. And then this has several different things that can let the arm move and align the leg. It also can allow for traction to be placed on or for traction to be released from that leg to line it up for the insertion of the hardware in the implant. The other two items on this bed, there are actually two of each item. And this is an upright that we use on the bed, and then we use a horizontal on top of that to provide a drape for the bed to keep the sterile area from the non-sterile area. We also call it a shower curtain because it hangs up high over the top of this railing and secures with a sticky strip. And that keeps this from contaminating the sterile field. The next thing I'm going to show you, I'm going to pull the fracture table out here a little bit. Get these parts out of the way. This is the head of the fracture table. As you can see, there are two pedals here. One raises and lowers the bed by pumping it. The other one is actually the lock, and you push it down and it connects, and that secures the bed so that it does not move until you want it to. There are also things that can cause, we can put the head down. There are handles here that put the head down or up, and to also tip the bed one way or the other. I'm going to pause the video at this time and get the bed ready to put the parts on the bed. Okay, as you can see, this is actually the leg part of the fracture table, and both of these arms can go out depending on whether you're doing a left or a right hip fracture, or if you're doing a bilateral hip fracture. They both can be utilized. You will see here that there are two holes here, and that's for the foot of the bed. These arms move, which allow the surgeon kinds of traction and align the hip fracture. These are secured, and I usually go with kind of a neutral, but there's a sawtooth type indentation on these so that they can be locked into place. And you just tighten them up like so. And then you always want to make sure that this other one, if it's not being used, is tight. I'm going to then put on the butt plate on the bed. It slides in like this. The foot of the bed then slides on these into these two holes here, just like that. Okay, that allows them, when they're first moved onto this bed after their anesthetic, to allow both legs to remain straight until we're ready to position them. This bed does have several different things that make it easy for us to do hip fractures. The top of the bed actually slides from one side to the other. If you are doing a right hip fracture, you want the bed to be all the way to the right side, which allows this right leg to be free of any metal or anything that could interfere with the x-ray of the leg. This is also, at the time when we get them slid over, we're going to secure their upper body onto the bed so as to make sure that they don't fall off. And there are different things here at this particular hospital. We have a black safety strap that we use. Some of the other hospitals use a Velcro strap, or I've even seen just tape and towels used. So I've put the perineal post in, and we will have slid the patient all the way down until the perineum is right up against that post. At that point, we're going to start adding some of the attachments. One of the first ones is a stirrup for the non-operative leg. And this can be adjusted up and down based upon the length of the femur. And this is also able to rotate and move so that it allows us to position these things in many different ways. We can also slide this holder all the way out or push it in a little bit depending on what we needed to do for the patient. The next thing I'm going to put on the bed before I take the patient's foot part off is I'm going to put on the traction device. And again, I'm always warning people that this is a heavy piece of equipment. And you slide it in to the bracket, open it up. Looks a little medieval, but it's how we are able to fix hips. So at this point then I would slide this down, put the patient's foot in the boot, and adjust this. And you have to remember that they have had their anesthetic so that they're not feeling me manipulating their leg. But you would also want it at the height appropriate, so sometimes you have to lower this a little bit more. And sometimes you have to scoot this back in order to make it all fit. Then we place their foot in and we wrap this particular strap, goes across the distal part of the foot. You wrap it as tight as you can wrap it. This goes around the ankle area. And this strap goes a little higher up on the ankle. Once they're in these positioners, we then take the foot of the bed off. And you set it aside in the room because you're going to have to put it back on at the end of the case. At this point, then, the doctor will manipulate the bottom half and the leg to get it in alignment. We'll be using the C-arm to take those pictures rather frequently. So you want to make sure that everyone has their leg on. The next piece we're going to put on here and you secure all these down by twisting the knobs to tighten them. Okay. We're going to start putting in our upright. Now at this point, the C-arm is in here and we're taking pictures of the hip so that we can make sure we're in proper alignment. So a lot of times there's 2 or 3 things going on at one time when you're setting up the patient, and that's pretty typical. If you try to get these even, some days are better than others. Next thing we're going to do, and this is best done if you have 2 people to help you to secure these arms. So, this one goes here. So I'm probably going to want to drop this one down a little bit so that they kind of meet. We always want to make sure anesthesia is helping monitor the patient at this point because these things can get away from you. And the last thing you want is for the patient to have a closed head injury because the bars came loose. Okay? So here you have your patient. You are doing a right hip fracture. And our shower curtain, the sterile film is on the right side of the bed. The shower curtain is going to be attached to the patient here. It comes up over the top of the railing. The C-arm will be coming in from this direction, from the left side, and come across the post to the hip. That's why this is very important to have this leg secured and to give us as much room as we can. Now again, you have to remember we're doing mostly geriatric patients, and their hips and knees don't bend like someone who's 20. So you have to be very delicate with them because you don't want to break the other hip trying to position them for this procedure. So we have our uprights, our horizontals intact. We have our traction ski boot in place. We have our perineal post, our butt pad, and our stirrup. We also have our Clark socket and our fracture table sockets to provide our attachments for the patient. Now, one of the last things that you could all need to have available is an arm board. Sometimes patients, maybe they're a little fluffy and you need a little extra padding here. This arm, the right arm, is going to be draped across the patient's chest with the hand touching the left shoulder. We also secure this by using egg crate to protect the epicondylar nerves and protect the elbow as it's a bony prominence, so you don't want to cause any pressure ulcers there. And securing it to the bed. So this is generally what your fracture table would look like. I'm going to turn it a little bit so you can get a little angled view of it. See how it's set up. I want to thank you for your attention, and after this there will be a written exam posted for you to participate in after you view the video. Thank you and have a great afternoon.